Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media.
Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the area around Wapiti Trail in Yellowstone National Park. The average elevation of the park is 8,000 feet, making for long, cold, snowy winters and hot, dry summers. Over its 3,468 square miles, the park showcases 50% of the world's geysers and hydrothermal features. The forest in the park features 69,000 species of plants, including lodgepole and whitebark pine, subalpine and Rocky Mountain fir, and Engelmann spruce trees, with willow and quaking aspen trees filling the remaining spaces. Native American artifacts found near the park indicate that human populations have called this place home for around 11,000 years. The reintroduction of wolves has been noted to have affected elk grazing patterns, leading to an increase in quaking aspen groves. With grizzly and black bears, wolves, and cougars making the park their home, the predators here not only affect the prey animals of the area, they affect their own ecology, potentially straining competition between species and changing how they approach the presence of humans. As the grizzly bear populations have recovered in recent decades, they've expanded into the area surrounding the park due to competition for prime territory. This potential means that the most aggressive and defensive bears occupy the prime territory within the park. As is well documented, sows with cubs are the most dangerous to hikers and recreators who venture into the backcountry. And one sow in particular has been linked to an insidious and vicious attitude toward people. A sow by the name of the Wapiti Trail Sow has been linked to 3 human deaths, but the destructive path she tore took several years of scientific research to determine her involvement. The problems arose in the year 2011. In early July, when Brian Matayoshi and his wife were hiking along the Wapiti Lake Trail when they encountered a Sow Grizzly and her cubs. They initially tried to navigate their way around the bears and mistakenly emerged at close range after losing sight of them. The sow charged the couple and injured both, but inflicted fatal wounds on Brian, which led to his death. Here on our channel, the attack is explained in greater detail, so if you'd like to review it, I've linked to it in the article below this video. After an investigation into Matayoshi's fatal attack, rangers concluded that his attack was a defensive measure to protect herself and her cubs. No action was taken against her, but DNA was collected from saliva on the clothes of the victims for comparison to future samples. A little over a month later, and 22 miles to the southwest, self-proclaimed grizzly bear expert John Wallace was navigating the Mary Mountain Trail system by himself. A father and daughter discovered his body cached near the trail and reported his death to rangers. Investigators noted the location of winter-killed bison nearby and attributed Wallace's death to carrion in the area and the presence of whitebark pine nuts, which are a favorite food of grizzlies. DNA samples were pulled from Wallace's remains and kept on file for comparison to future samples. For a few years, things were quiet in Yellowstone, but on August 7, 2015, a part-time park employee named Lance Crosby went out for a hike above the clinic he worked at in the park. His location was the Elephant Back Loop Trail, which is about 13 miles northeast of the Wallace attack and 11 miles southeast of the Matayoshi attack site. He was trying to rehabilitate an injured ankle and stumbled upon a mushroom patch that a Sow Grizzly and her 2 cubs had claimed for their own. Despite being only a few hundred yards from a significant roadway and buildings, the bears partially consumed Crosby and cached his body. There was abundant evidence of regular human activity in the area, but rangers determined the bears were not deterred by the activity of humans and were growing too comfortable with it. All 3 of the attacks discussed above have been featured as episodes on this channel and have been linked to in the article below this video, if you would like to review them further. As is often the case, an investigation was undertaken into the circumstances surrounding Crosby's death. DNA evidence was pulled from saliva on his corpse and clothing for comparison to the other samples. An additional measure was taken following Crosby's attack, in that culvert and snare traps were set out in the area, and they yielded the desired results. After a few days, the Wapiti sow was caught along with her cubs. The DNA evidence she left at each of her attacks was linked, and officials finally determined she was responsible for several attacks and a few fatalities in the greater area. Now having the upper hand on a grizzly who had been linked to too many human deaths, the authorities determined that she would need to be put down, but not without considerable deliberation and discussion. Her cubs were transferred to a zoo to live out their lives, and Yellowstone National Park was rid of a problem bear, or was it rid of a typical bear? With reintroduction of grizzly bears into former territory being a controversial and current topic, the question remains, can there be a balance struck between the world of the bears and the world of human beings? Can boars protect their territory and sows raise their cubs in close proximity to humans safely? Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes. And the $3 a month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce content like this. After several years of scientific analysis and research, the Wapiti sow was linked to at least 3 human fatalities, and potentially more injuries and deaths. The removal of her from the population led to a lull in bear attacks, so the impact of a single grizzly may make on a locale could be quite significant. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Do you think the Wapiti sow was really to blame for 3 human fatalities, or is the science flawed? When grizzlies are reintroduced to former biomes, should we expect similar attack patterns? Is the Wapiti sow's behavior par for the course, or is her deadly response to human presence an outlier? Can we strike a balance between grizzly and human existence, or is the issue too complicated to resolve? I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so please post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.